Welcome to Event Explorer, the show that takes you behind the scenes of the world's most inspiring festivals, gatherings, and events through conversations with the people who make them happen. I'm your host, Daniel Roth. I'm an event producer and creative director who spent the last 15 years designing live experiences for global brands and cultural institutions. On this podcast, I explore the intersection of place, creativity, and community, and how great events don't just entertain us, they shape us as well. Today's guest is Spencer Shewen, the creative director of Riverfest Elora and artistic director of Mariposa Folk Festival. Spencer is one of the people redefining what regional festivals can be in Canada and curating lineups that bring big-name acts to small-town settings while staying deeply rooted in local identity. In this conversation, we dig into the story behind Riverfest, the artistic legacy of its founder, Marilyn Koop, the evolving definition of folk music, and the growing power of destination festivals in places like Elora and Orillia in Ontario, Canada. Whether you're a festival fan, a music lover, or someone who just loves a well-told story about place and purpose, you're in the right spot. Let's get into it. All right, today on Event Explorer, we're heading to Ontario, Canada to meet with Spencer Shewen, the creative director of Riverfest Elora and the artistic director of the Mariposa Folk Festival. Spencer has become a key figure in Canada's evolving festival landscape. He's helping bring top-tier talent and thoughtful programming to places that feel both rooted and vibrant. Since stepping into the role at Riverfest in 2014, he's helped shape it into one of Ontario's most beloved summer events. Known for its genre-blending lineups, community-first spirit, and riverside setting in a picturesque town of Elora. We'll talk about the evolution of the festival, the legacy of the founder, Marilyn Koop, and the growing appeal of destination festivals in smaller towns. Welcome, Spencer. Welcome to Event Explorer.
Hi, thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure. Good to meet you, too. I know we were talking before, and the festivals that you're involved with and the work you're doing there have really made these kind of what would seem, almost rural towns or smaller town locations become these hotspots on the map in Ontario. So I think the story there is really cool. I think, it's obviously the event and festival Event Explorer has found that these are stories of culture and creating culture in places and celebrating culture. So I know you've been doing that, and you've been doing that almost your whole career. Like where did you start kind of with the music and party throwing aspect of what you're doing now?
Yeah, I think probably, it started, when I was a teenager. I was lucky enough to grow up kind of in downtown Guelph, Ontario, which has always been kind of known as a music hotspot. There's like, it's far enough away from Toronto, but close enough that bands that are touring through Toronto can also come and play in Guelph, especially developing acts. So, I, you know, snuck into a lot of shows underage. And then basically when I turned 19, I started working at a venue that it was called the Jimmy Jazz and Trashateria. So it's two venues side by side that had a door in between. One was a smaller kind of free room, and the other one was more ticketed shows. And just really got into live music by working there and going to all the shows and meeting all the people that were doing it. And then eventually started booking a few of my own shows, promoting in clubs. Went to the Harris Institute in Toronto. It's a music industry college. Basically, the program I was in was called Recording Arts Management, but it was basically everything to do with working in the entertainment business. So did that, kept promoting shows through that, started a record label for 5 years. And just kind of kept plugging away at it, and never just knew I wanted to be working in events and in music, and kind of just took every opportunity that I could over the last 25 years. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. No, that's great. Especially running the label, the music industry has changed dramatically with streaming. Fortunately, with vinyl sales, on the uptick, there's kind of more physical media and more opportunities there. A lot of independent labels like you're talking about. And I imagine, when I look at the lineups of the festivals that you're helping to curate, they you are in a nice niche where you're able to provide great opportunities and exposure to smaller artists or more independent kind of artists. Is that a focus you take in your tact, or how do you go about the curation process?
I think the discovery piece has always been my favorite thing about anything I've ever done in the industry. When I was doing club shows, my favorite thing was like obviously booking the band, the headliner that's going to bring in 300 people to the room, but then like choosing a band to complement that I know those fans of the main band are going to latch onto. And I think that's just as important. Like the best thing about music festivals is the discovery piece. Is like people come to see, City and Color or Iron and Wine or whatever, but then they leave with like 10, 15 other acts that they've fallen in love with over the course of the weekend. And um, that is like probably the thing that fills my tank the most of in what I do for a living. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And speaking of that, I mean, you've got a couple titles. Obviously, you were with Elora, we're creative director, artistic director of Mariposa. So similar kind of overarching kind of looking at the whole experience. Is that kind of what drives you? Like how do you approach, from this kind of creative perspective versus you're not just selling tickets or operational. A lot of festivals are a little bit, especially music kind of based festivals are looking towards operations as the driving force. How do you express your kind of creative vision into these festivals? What have you found kind of this the process to be to make sure this is a Spencer festival?
In booking a festival lineup, I'm always trying to find balance. So I like to think of like the festivals, especially, it started with Riverfest, but like with Mariposa as well, is like if you're gonna take all the Riverfest artists and put all their songs into one playlist and hit shuffle, it's all still gonna kind of fit together. It's gonna flow, it's gonna make sense. But we try not to have too much of any one genre. We try not to have we just try to have a good, healthy balance of different vibes, different genres. Um, both festivals are very different in their personality. Riverfest is probably more of a popular music festival. It's been heavily kind of based in indie rock. But like it has, it's indie rock, it's punk, it's hip hop, there's some country music. There's a little bit of space for, singer songwriter, more folky type thing, but mostly Riverfest is all very upbeat, kind of a party atmosphere. Whereas Mariposa is, a folk more, it's always been a folk festival. It's more rooted in folk and roots and traditional kind of folk leaning things. So, but even with that, within that um, realm, we try to make sure that there's some balance there. There's, not just fiddles and guitars. There's a funk band playing this year. We have some hip hop. There's some indie rock, but it's all still kind of leaning towards that folk Americana
Sure.
roots kind of realm,
As the
which is
definition
really
of
fun.
folk expands, right? The definition of
Yeah,
folk has definitely changed over the years. I mean, bringing all the folk into the party, I think is part of that rather than, some singular, whatever, Americana, Canadiana expression. It's, what is the definition of that? And you're helping to grow that definition, I think, to be really reflective of the folk of the country, right?
it's true. It's true. And I have like people, I have this conversation a lot, like what is folk music? And it's really everything. Like anything that has, and to me, it's anything that tells a story or has a message to it. Like I think of, social distortion to me is like, that's folk music. Um, it's punk music, but it's folk music. So it's just
Mhm.
interesting to, different people have different definitions
Definition.
for it,
Yeah.
but yeah, but just
So
trying to like expand that a little bit, expand people's view of it a little bit too is fun.
good, good. Yeah. And I think you're doing that, right? So in Elora, it's been 14 years at Riverfest. I know it started, a number of years before then, and I mentioned Marilyn Koop as this founder in the intro. Can you give us a little bit of background, particularly of Elora Riverfest? Like, what's the town like, and how did this come out of that? I mean, it's Guelph is a college town, not the biggest town. Then you go another couple miles and you get to Elora, right?
Yeah, so Elora's about 15 minutes outside of Guelph. It's always been a very artistic community. There's a lot of visual artists that live in town here. Members of the group of seven are famous for having called Elora the most beautiful village in Ontario. Um, there's a if you can picture it, there's a really beautiful downtown area that's all limestone buildings. There's two rivers that run through it, and then just adjacent to downtown, there's the Elora Gorge, which is um, a stone bottom river with 100-foot limestone cliffs on either side. The river's pretty shallow. You can walk right down. You can walk through, through the river. People like it's just beautiful.
Gorgeous.
And Riverfest was started originally as a fundraiser for the Elora Center for the Arts, which is located in an old stone schoolhouse, just actually right next to Bissell Park, where Riverfest is now. But it originated in the yard at the Elora Center for the Arts as a fundraiser for that. It was founded by Marilyn Koop, who unfortunately passed away. And when she did, a couple of the members of the organizing committee, John Ralston and Sean Waters, made a concerted decision to keep the festival going and to try to grow it. So that the first year that I came to the festival was 2013, and it was a one-day festival with 3 or 4 artists, pretty small still. It had moved to Bissell. That was the first year in Bissell Park, and then the following year, the guys landed Blue Rodeo, and that's sort of when I came on a bit more full on, helping. I helped with everything from getting the volunteer program, making it a bit more robust, bringing in people I knew who'd worked at other festivals like Hillside and the Guelph Jazz Festival and things like that, and helping build up the lineup a bit that year. And then sort of my position has kind of evolved every year since then and kind of grown. I kind of grew with the festival. Yeah, I think I just rambled a bit there.
No, it makes sense. So tell me about, so is it, I guess the festival becomes a little bit more profitable every year. You can kind of reach out to bigger artists, help grow the lineup, which in turn helps grow, the audience size, right? Is that kind of, has it been a natural growth that way, or have you kind of taken specific tactics to make it grow even larger each year?
I will say, I mean, it's interesting because the festival itself, like, it hasn't been profitable every year that we've been in existence. Festivals are a hard game. Like, it's, we always say, like, with festivals, and same with like promoting shows, it's like, when you make money, you have to make a little bit of money. When you lose money, you lose a lot of money. So it's like, it's a bit of always a bit of a back and forth. We're happy to still be in existence and still be able to run. Uh, you know, but I would say one of the main things of my job is that I try really hard to book a lineup within the budget I have and make the lineup seem like our budget is twice as much as what we have. So that's also one of my goals in my yearly activities, is to try to make the lineup seem as big as possible within the budget that we have. Because I think Riverfest is we bring in world-class artists into a fairly small footprint. Our festival grounds hold about 6,500 people a day. So it's not massive. And but it's a good size. I don't know what I'm getting at right now.
No, it makes sense. And I think it is reflective, perhaps of the reach of the town, that the artist community, and you were talking about the group of seven, which is kind of these founding artists of the Canadian scene, or these kind of major seven artists, from about 100 years ago, right? But from Ontario, that really set Canada on the map as an artistic nation. And I mean, obviously that continues today. And it's, I'm from Detroit. You're from the Guelph, kind of Toronto region. It's, we've had our ups and downs with the economy and different kind of forces that boom and bust, over different times. But it really is that art scene, right? Like, especially let's say the music and comedy scene that's come out of Ontario has been a world driver for a long time. And
That's true.
seeing kind of the reflection of that, it is a sense of bringing the culture together. Like how, you must be pretty in touch with kind of the community in Elora now. How does the kind of festival reflect on the community? Is it really a kind of community group effort to put this on every year?
I mean, yeah, it's pretty amazing, um, the level of support that we get throughout the community. Riverfest is it's started by community members. It's continued by community members. We always like to remind people that even though it seems like it's a big city festival, it's locally owned and operated, has been for 15 years. Um, you know, we have over 500 volunteers every year. I would say 90% of which are from the immediate community. Um, and it's just been beautiful. Like we've had years where, I don't know, we need it's raining a bunch and we need some sump pumps to come down and like drain out an area of the festival, and we'll just put it out over social media and 15 people will show up, just who weren't even coming to the festival. They were just at home and they realize we need help and they just come down and give us a hand. Like it's things like that happen all the time. Um, but yeah, we exist for this community, for the community of Elora, and I think it really it comes across to the community that's why we're here, and the level of support's always been really really impressive. Yeah.
Does it still contribute to the art center? Is that's still the purpose or part of the purpose?
We partner with the art center on a lot of stuff. Our office is located in the art center now,
Nice.
so
Nice.
we're in daily communication with them for various things. And we do some things like the last few years, any tips at the bar have been donated to the art center, that kind of thing. And
Perfect.
then we also support them through coordinating. They have a summer music series that they do, like free music series in the yard there. So I book the bands for that. um and we help promote it, that kind of thing as well.
So it
Yeah.
really is, yeah, continuing this artistic culture in Elora. It's growing, but that's in part to why you're doing it. So,
Yeah,
yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and it's also important to note that like Elora in its own has always been a touristic community,
Yeah,
a tourist location for people
yeah.
to go to. And it's been really interesting having Riverfest come to Elora, because what I've noticed over the last 10 years is the average age of the tourists that come year round has dropped by about 20 years. So where it used to be more people who are retired visiting the town, going to the shops, going to the restaurants, now you see people, in their 20s and 30s coming just for the day out of Toronto, like
Mhm.
year round, which has been really really great to see. And I think that the festival um, being here has helped do that, because people that's the people we're promoting to, is people in their 20 to 50
Yeah,
basically.
yeah.
And then we also get like, and anecdotally through our surveys, we get a lot of people that say that they come back to Elora throughout the year after they've attended the festival for the first time. So it's been neat to see that kind of growth as well.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I mean, obviously that promotes longevity in the city, that people are gonna know this as a place that they come to and create traditions around. It also just brings a sense of cool, to
Mhm.
a town, as far as that boom and bust, or these cycles of the new hot artists coming out of Elora, and then they get kind of established careers, and their fans get older, and the town, kind of gets older. And I know, just as in Michigan, there's a lot of small towns, around Ontario that when we couldn't take a highway into the city all the time, there was a lot kind of just more bustling and activity, around these smaller towns. And I know that kind of dropped off, with kids moving to the cities and in search of jobs, less rural based economies and things like that. And I
Mhm.
think, post COVID and everything, we're kind of looking for that more chill or more separated, or both that, and then a more of a connection. I think younger generations are looking for a connection to home culture, or who am I, what are we. And Canada's always had I think a strong need for that, and a strong driver of that. And now, how's this new generation gonna do it? So that's, I think, awesome to hear
Mhm.
about, how Elora continues to be that draw. You're helping drive that draw. Speaking of which, that draw, just looking at the lineup this year, I think, that's gonna get even bigger. Tell me about what you're doing this year. Like, how's this curation gone? Because City and Color, we've got what Fits in the Tantrums. Who else is playing this year?
Yeah, so City and Color, Fits in the Tantrums, and Silver Sun Pickups are our headliners. We've noticed a trend, and not throwing any shade on anybody at all whatsoever. We've noticed a trend in a lot of our peer festivals, let's say, that it's been seeming in the last like 3 or 4 years that like a lot of the same bands are kind of rotating through each of the festivals. So we've made a really big effort in the last couple of years to try and like throw in some bands that like haven't played a Canadian festival in a long time,
Mm.
or maybe ever. So that's kind of where the Fits in the Tantrum Silver Sun Pickups come up. We've also got Marcy Playground, Wheatus, Tune Yards, the Philharmonic, which is like one of my favorite discoveries that I found in the last year and a bit. Um, and then some Canadian favorites like Deer Rouge, Tom Wilson, Yukon Blonde, Danny Michelle. We got Michi Me. I don't know if you're familiar. Michi Me is the um, like the godmother of Canadian hip hop. Um, one of the first like female MCs to really like make it big and hit the mainstream. Um, yeah, just it's a pretty sweet lineup this year. I'm really happy with how it fell together, and yeah.
Yeah. So the audience experience, I mean, they're obviously going to be drawn in by this. One thing that I'm excited about is I have a 10-year-old, and there is a family focus, kind of, how do you create that environment, or how do you kind of curate that environment to keep, to welcome kids in that way? I know under 12 are free, or so that's drawing in young families, right? And then,
Yeah.
what is that? How do you shape the festival towards being kind of more inclusive, even towards even those much younger people?
Yeah, so Riverfest is it's hard to explain to someone who hasn't been there. We're not one of those festivals that has like, we don't have a children's area. We don't have a lot of kids programming, but we also kind of like to feel that like our overall programming, like kids love it. Like they love seeing the bands. They love doing all those things. And so we have 12 kids 12 and under are free. We also have a youth ticket. I think it's 13 to 18 that is cheaper than the main
Hmm.
tickets. And then so it's but then also like our whole site is licensed. So there's not like beer gardens where like parents feel like they need to like if they want to have a beer, they need to like separate from their kids to go there or anything like that. And we just noticed over the years that like families can come, a lot of families just they come and they hang out and they, you know, it's just a very relaxed atmosphere. I don't know how else
Yeah.
to describe it.
Yeah.
It feels from, and we hear this from artists, like especially artists that are returning to the festival for the second or third time, that when they walk through the gates, they kind of exhale. You
Mm.
kind of just like you feel like everything just kind of it's weird. It's a weird vibe, but you just feel like everything kind of like lets go. And definitely you see that in the families, like they're all just having a great time together. Um, yeah, it's just a great experience. So it's interesting in that we don't have a lot of like kid focused specific things. We have a couple things every year. We've got a ukulele workshop that our friend Adrian Jones does. He brings it's called Adrian Jones's Big Bag of Ukes, and he just brings his big bag of ukuleles and teaches people of all ages a few songs, and people love that. We also do like a live band karaoke with the Boo Radley Project, who are a great like funk band from Elora, and they come every year. It's something that people like line up for because they can't wait to do it. Yeah,
So it's kind of that
yeah,
day in the park kind of feel, right? Is just come out, bring a
yeah,
blanket, we'll feed you. You can have a beer, and the kids can just. I mean, you don't need anything at that point. Some good music and just space for the kids to run around is entertaining
Exactly.
enough for a lot of them.
Yeah. And the
Amazing.
kids the kids definitely like check out, like I've anecdotally talked to people I know in town whose kids have been listening to this year's playlist already, and they're all like hooked. They've got their lists of bands that they want to see already and things like that. So it's kind of, I think in a way we're playing an important role, at least in our community, of of getting those kids used to seeing live music and falling in love with live music
Yeah.
themselves, right?
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
That I mean, how important, and good music too, because applause to the curation too. If they're listening to Fits and the Tantrums and Silver Sun Pickups at 9 years old, they're on track to be good stewards of our musical culture, especially from a rock and pop, and a cultural perspective. Okay, well, that sounds amazing. I'm excited to check it out. I know we're just a couple days. We're about 2 weeks out from Mariposa. It's like the July 4th ish weekend from an American calendar
Yeah.
perspective. Yeah,
A
just a couple weeks out.
week from tomorrow.
Jeez. Okay. So I won't take too much of your time. I just,
No, it's
while
all
we're
good.
here, and maybe we can talk about that one again and find out how it went this year. But
Sure.
as you're lining up towards that, this is a festival. The Mariposa Folk Festival is one that started. What is it now? Is it 65 years? Is that what it is?
This will be the 65th anniversary
Okay.
this coming year. Yeah.
And this is a
It's
festival that has moved around. It's gone through hard times, gone through, and now it's on these up times. It's gone. Bob Dylan's been there. There's a big connection with Gordon Lightfoot.
yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that fest.
So Mariposa, it's been around for 65 years. It's probably possibly the most storied festival in Canada, if not North America.
Hmm.
Um, Woodstock, obviously, uh, very famous festival, but Mariposa, is the oldest running folk festival in North America. It's famous for having been the spot where like people like Joni Mitchell and Neil Young and Bruce Cockburn all kind of came up through Mariposa, came and played almost every year for several years. Bob Dylan's famous for having been to the festival several times to see his friends play, but never actually playing himself. So there's like these photos of him just sitting in the crowd with Gordon Lightfoot watching the stage, just hanging out, and it's just so. I feel very lucky to be like a small part of the history of this institution.
Hmm. Hmm.
And Yeah, so and this year, we're celebrating the 65th. We're bringing back some fan favorites from over the years, like Irish Mythen, Bob Snyder, who is an amazing, a very underrated Canadian songwriter. We've got Ron Sexsmith, Hayden, and then we're bringing in, like, we've got uh, the Sheepdogs are headlining the Friday night. Iron and Wine and Waxahachie are on Saturday. And then on Sunday, we've got Serena Ryder with Martha Wainwright and Julian Taylor are doing like a Mariposa retrospective. So it's like they're going to do some of their own songs, but then play some cover songs of artists that have been important to the festival over the years. And they're also going to be bringing some other people who are at the festival up on stage with them to be a part of that, as well as a couple surprise guests who are coming to the festival as well, which will be really neat. But yeah, it's a really I feel like Mariposa has been a very important cultural touch point for Canada for a long time, and it has had its ups and downs. It was in Orillia in the beginning, got kicked out, went to Barrie and the Toronto Island for a long time, came back to Orillia. I think this will be 26 years since it's been back in Orillia, and the town has really embraced it, and it's become a really important part of the community as well.
Amazing, amazing. Well, looking towards these two festivals over the next couple of months, I wish you all the luck. What are those kind of moments that you look forward to each summer when these festivals are up and running? Is it seeing everyone again? Kind of what are those special moments that really make it for you?
I mean, yeah, there are people that I only see at Riverfest every year. Like I don't see them throughout the year, and so it's like always like a bit of a reunion every summer when the festival comes around. For me though, like with both festivals, it's just the moment where um it's a bit hectic leading into it. The 3-4 weeks leading into each festival is a lot of advancing with artists and getting hotel rooms booked and figuring out technical aspects, which is like not, we let the tech team do that, but I'm always kind of on in those conversations and helping move them along. But for me, it's like once the festival is running, usually it hits me on the Saturday. Sometimes it's the Friday night where I get to like things are just going and I can kind of just stop and look out in the crowd and the bands are playing, and it's just such a great feeling to feel like our team is touching so many people's lives and making a difference to people's lives. Like we're improving the quality of life for anyone who's in attendance at that event. And we're helping create memories for these people, and that's the best feeling in the world. It's just knowing that like all of our hard work, half the people there have no idea how much work it is. But we're creating an event for them where they can come and relax and forget about their problems for a little bit. And just, we're bringing joy to their lives. And that to me is what kind of that's what motivates me to keep doing this.
Yeah. I mean, it's with Mariposa and Elora as well, but you're 65 years, once you're in that moment, you're like, we can't say there wasn't a 65th year. Now let's make it a 66th. It's kind of this stewardship of history. And that is with these, reoccurring festivals. And it seems like you have a really good attitude about it. I've asked some people, oh, what are you doing that's new and innovative? And some people just say we're not, because people are expecting, you have to maintain kind of not a status quo, in the negative sense of the word, but it's maintaining this place for people to come and have an ownership, a kind of cultural ownership experience, and to define their lives by these moments. There's almost I don't want to screw this up, right? Kind of aspect of that.
100% with both festivals. I feel that Mariposa, though, it's last year coming into it for my first year was daunting. It was it was a feeling of like, I don't want to screw this up, but I also don't want to like upset the people who have been coming to this festival and who are loyal to it for like the last 30 years. So it's definitely always on my mind, and something I'm conscious of is like not, you want to push the boundaries a little bit. You want to surprise people. You want to trick people into listening to something that they maybe never would have paid attention to, or would have like been dismissive of, and get them to check it out, and then they're gonna love it. But also like trying to not, be respectful of the past and be respectful of the ownership that people do have over it. And the same thing with Riverfest. It's are the loyal fans who have been coming to Riverfest for a long time are they have a lot of trust in what we're booking, and they have a lot of trust in, we sell a third of our tickets before the lineup even comes out. So, and those people have trust in us. They know that it's going to be a good time. They're basing their whole year around our festival, and so we want to just like make sure that we're loyal to those people. I should also mention that Riverfest is celebrating an anniversary this year. It's the 15th annual this year, which in itself is an accomplishment for a festival the last 15 years.
Yeah, exactly. And and to that point, I mean, with both lineups and the way you've described the festivals, you're nailing it. So congratulations.
Appreciate it.
And I'm sure also the community appreciates it, and growing their musical tastes and growing the influence, and catching kind of these new acts to them, which I think is a really good approach. It's it takes a lot of research, I'm sure, and a lot of negotiation in order to make this happen. So nice work. Congratulations to you and the team. Looking forward to seeing what comes out of Mariposa. I'm going to try to make it to Elora myself, so I'll
let me know.
Okay, yeah, come and take some pictures and share the experience with the fans. So that'd be really fun.
Awesome. Yeah.
All right.
Thanks for having me.
Spencer, thank you so much for joining today, and we'll keep sharing. One thing I need is that link to the playlist, because I know that it is hitting. So I will share that out for sure with the episode.
Yeah, I'll send you both. Both festivals have a playlist, so I'll send them out for you.
All right, take care. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
That was Spencer Shewen, helping lead two of Canada's most beloved festivals into the future while staying true to their roots. Riverfest Elora turns 15 this year, and Mariposa is celebrating an incredible 65 years. Proof that great festivals don't just appear, they evolve thanks to people like Spencer who know how to blend creativity, community, and care. Now, this is Event Explorer. I'm Daniel Roth. If you enjoyed this episode, hit follow on your favorite podcast app, leave a quick review, and share it with someone who loves music, travel, or the art of a good gathering. You can find more at eventexp.org, including festival photos and that Riverfest playlist Spencer mentioned. And don't forget to follow at Event Explorer Podcast on Instagram for more behind-the-scenes stories and upcoming episodes. Have a festival you think we should feature? I'd love to hear from you. Just email me at daniel@eventexp.org. Thanks for listening, and until next time, happy exploring.